So here we are, early start at the Sandblasters. And look how excited Ollie is. Look at him go! So here we are at the Sandblasters. We're here to pick the Nova up and drop off the Triumph. So here we have all the panels, the doors, the boot, the bonnet, front wings looking really good. A little bit of damage or rust on the corners. And here we have the body. There's the crash damage that we knew about with all the filler. So let's roll this on.
Wait again, stop. Hold.
Hold on, I'll get it on the back and put it over.
Yeah, because it's stuck on the belt. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot wider than the Triumph.
That's true. Yeah, keep holding it. Ja, dat is niet erg.
Hello YouTube people. Right, so people who have been watching previous episodes of mine will be aware that I'm currently in the process of stripping a Chevrolet Nova and a Triumph TR6. So the first car I started stripping was the Chevy Nova, and while that was being sandblasted, I started to strip the Triumph TR6. But I thought I would do just a quick update on the Chevy because it's back from the blasters. It was actually back over a week ago, but we've just managed to get the Triumph and everything out and finished and got the Chevy back in this workshop. So I thought I'd do a little walk around because actually tomorrow is going to be my last day in Belgium before I head back to Finland. So we've got the projects up to a certain stage where I can't really do anything to them until we start getting stuff either back from the powder coating, and also we need to order a lot of the panels, etc. It's easy enough to get panels for the TR6 because being a British car, the parts for those are quite readily available in Europe. And for the Chevy, it's not so easy to get parts for in Europe, and we will have to order them from the US, and that could take some months before they get here. So in that time, I'm going to be heading back to Finland, like I said, and got lots to be getting on with there. So I'll keep filming updates over there. So let's have a little walk around the Chevy now it's back. Right, here it is. So if you've seen previous videos, you'll know that it had some crash. If you haven't seen the previous videos, maybe go and have a look at those, and then you can see the whole process. So that would be good. Right. So anyway, before this went to the blasters, we knew that it had had some damage and some body filler, and there's a series of holes here that they used a slide hammer to drill a series of holes, use a slide hammer to pull the damage out. But obviously they haven't pulled all the damage out because it's still pretty bad. And what the sandblasters have done is that they obviously realised that this damage here that's got lots of filler on, so they didn't go too crazy blasting it. So I did think prior to it going to the blasters that I would probably be able to repair this. And of course I could repair this, but we also knew that this area here was rotten because it was quite visible before it went, and the inner structure as well. But now it's back, I think the best way forward with this is to buy the whole rear quarter panel. So you can get them in two stages. You can get them up to here, and then you can get them up to this line here. So you can probably see that there's a difference in colour there, and this is actually lead. So they used a lead filler from the factory to hide the seam, which is very similar to what they did on, if you've seen the video I did on the E-Type that I restored, Jaguar did a similar things, and a lot of other manufacturers did as well. So yes, I mean, you can see here that this has actually been creased, and I think this is probably, it goes in like this, that could have been warpage from the sandblasters. So yeah, like I said, I think the best bet is to replace this whole quarter rather than trying to repair. It sounds like a big deal to remove that, but it is also a big deal to repair that, and I think it's a bigger deal to repair that than replace it. Good news is that the seals are as good as I was hoping. There's absolutely no rot whatsoever on those, so that is awesome. And similar with the inner arches, and then if we look back here, then yeah, we knew that that was going to be a problem. So let's move to the other side. Okay, on the other side of the car, again, we knew that there needed to be some repairs there. Inner arch looks fantastic, and the chassis rail, etc. You can just see poking there is some holes in the boot floor, but we also know about that. But this side is relatively good. There's a little bit of rust there, but also, which is disappointing, is that this has disformed here, similar to the other side. It actually comes in. I think I can save that. I think it needs a little bit of stretching, and we can pull that back out again. But otherwise, this is really good. And the sill, B-post, brilliant. Okay, so the front panel, I can't see any problems there. Everything looks, there's a bit of rot there on that corner, but again, that's a really easy panel. It's only like a few spot welds here, and that's an easy repair. Right, if we go up, this we knew about. This is not a surprise either, and I think, well, definitely it's probably easiest just to replace this whole dash panel, because it's just a series of spot welds across the front here, and that whole panel, and obviously there's a few points as well that need to be cut out, but I think just take this panel out as a whole, and then we can repair if there's any rot to the panel underneath that. And also the same, we knew about the rust along the top here. I'm not sure how to tackle this yet, because you can probably see there's a series of these studs, and there's some clips for the window trim that actually click into there. So if we can buy that, then that would be probably best, and then I can just plug weld it across the front here and use this edge as a weld line. So same in this corner as well. So that's the front. Okay, moving on to the back. So this rear quarter that needs to be removed, in my opinion, is also a good thing that once it's out the way, that this corner can also be repaired. The back panel here is fantastic, and that corner is fantastic. This, I don't know what exactly has happened here, but you can see this is like deformed here, and I think that can be repaired quite easily. Yeah, it might have just stretched a little bit, I don't know why. But there's also a little bit of rot along here that needs to be repaired. It's always these little bits and pieces like this, which is time consuming. The bigger panels is usually the nicer work. The boot lid is actually really, really good, except for this corner here, which I thought it would probably just be some surface rust, but it's blown through. But that's a pretty simple repair because the seam on the inside is actually really good. So that's really good as well. Along the top of the boot line, which is the lower section of the rear screen where it would be bonded in, you can see it's quite rotten. The whole way along it's quite bad, but luckily the replacement panel came with the car. So this is just a series of spot welds here and along the back here. So I don't know if you can see. So that's just a fairly easy panel to get out. To make it fit is another thing, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a struggle. Around the back window here is a bit of a pain, but of course it's just the way that this goes. These little sections are actually, there's nothing on these. This is where the windscreen wipers go at the front, and this panel is along the front of the car by the headlights. But if I just move these out the way. Okay, so inside the boot, it's actually a lot worse than I expected, to be honest. You can see, I think this area here I expected because there was already a few pinholes, but this I think was, well, it's certainly unexpected to be this big a repair, and it goes all the way up to the front there. The very front there is fine, but obviously no water usually collects, but this is just where, yeah, I mean the boot floor gets wet. Maybe the rear screen had been leaking and then dripped into the boot and just got wet over the years and rotted through. So not sure about this yet. I don't know. We need to have a look at what panels are available, and of course sometimes you buy a huge panel and then you only use a section of it depending on the availability. So I'd always rather cut out less than I need to, or you know, the easiest solution, but that I'm a little disappointed in, to be honest. Okay, just to show you, this is the panel that sits below the rear screen. So this panel actually came with the car when Ollie bought it. How many years ago, I don't know. This panel was also included, or it actually came with the car as well, and that goes there. So I was hoping to use this, but you know, the damage goes even further, so we won't be using that. Okay, so further disappointment was the bonnet. I was aware that this needed to be repaired because that was showing before the paint was taken off. It goes further than I was expecting, but you never know really what to expect, you know. Well, you're hoping it's not worse, but it is. So that's a bummer. But what is a real bummer is that on the surface, if I can get the camera, you can see this is the top of the bonnet. So on the surface there's even holes that have rotted through, and these are where those fake intake trims sat. And you can see here, these are the holes that they were screwed on with, but then there's also some holes, and this is worse on this one, so dirt has got underneath there and rotted away over time. And of course this is all repairable, but this could be quite difficult to repair. Not impossible obviously, but you have to weigh up the cost of a new panel and repairing the old panel, and the risk you run of buying a new panel is that it doesn't fit as good as the original panels. But yeah, this is something you have to weigh up. Is it worth just buying new stuff and making it fit and adjusting it, which is the way I'm thinking at the moment, because to do this you'd get a lot of warpage from welding on such a flat surface, and then you have the inner structure underneath, and if you can't get behind that to planish it, then you're in other problems. You have to cut some of that out, and that needs to be welded in. So depending on the price, etc., we need to have a look into that. So that's the bonnet, another disappointment. Okay, so the inner roof is actually really good. So they got most of that surface rust off, and I will later date go over everything with a DA sander and get the rest of that off and then treat it. because that could have been a problem, because this car originally had a vinyl roof, so if water and dirt gets under the vinyl roof, that can also rot away, and it could have been a replacement roof or some patch panels, but that's really good. Okay, then we move on to the doors. So yes, we knew about this damage, and it is about what I expected. There's a couple more blow throughs here and some holes, but the actual seam underneath is absolutely perfect. So these are definitely savable. There's a few little dents and pieces to sort out, but overall the doors I'm really happy with. And if I lift it up, you can also see the seam at the bottom. There's a little blow through there, but I mean overall it's pretty good. The other door is very similar, but it's worse on the edge at the bottom, I believe. Maybe let's get it out. So as you can see, this is the right hand door. There's a little bit blown through there, the same as this, and the same at the front. This is blown through here, but I think one of the corners on the inside, yeah, there, but that's absolutely no big deal. It's not as bad as I expected. Maybe I'm thinking of the Triumph was worse, but this door is actually a lot better. So that's good news. Okay, so still inside the car are the front wings, and that's what we expected. I think these are actually really good, except for these lower parts, and it goes a little bit up there, but I think just by replacing these lower sections, and we have a line here that we can weld next to, so that's good. Inner fenders, a little bit of repairing to do on these. And I think maybe with these, if there's no repair sections available, then it might be worth buying the whole thing. Again, we have to weigh up time. Time is money, as they say, and we have to weigh up, do we just get new panels or try and repair these old ones? So the last bit to really look at is the floors. So I think what I'll do is I'll lift the car up so we can have a look underneath. Right, so this is underneath the car, and this is probably the biggest relief for me, because the floors are absolutely perfect. They couldn't be better. I mean, look at the inner seals as well. Floor panels, there's no pinholes, nothing. It's like factory fresh, so this is a massive relief, because I would rather replace the boot floor than these floors. So if we move towards the back, you can see as well, inner arch is really good. This rear panel is better than I was expecting as well, because I thought I might be replacing it. There's obviously some pinhole in there, but that's a fairly easy repair. These chassis rails, perfect. It's just really good, and we need to get this inner rear quarter panel. But as you can see, the disappointment was the boot floor, but it's not the end of the world, most definitely. Even this bracing, like cross member, is really good as well. So it's just a boot floor, and the big panels don't scare me. It's normally the smaller ones that take up so much time, but this is so good. Gets me excited, this does. It's so good. So yeah, if we go to the front, you can see it's pretty super. So next stage of this project is to make a list of the panels which we need to buy and check out the prices, etc., and make a decision whether we repair some of the existing panels or we just buy complete new panels and make them fit. Like I said earlier, it's always a little bit of a worry of the quality of the replacement panels, because some fit really good and some they're way off, and it causes so much work to make them fit. So it's like with anything, and I've said it many times before, if you're going to do restoration of any cars, buy the best panels, the best components, everything. Don't buy the cheapest, because it never ever pays off. It will cost you more time and it will cost you more money, because you'll probably end up throwing the shit ones away and buying good quality. So never skimp. If you're going to do a project like this, you really need to overestimate the cost and then make a decision if that's what you want to do, because you don't ever want to cut corners, on something like this. But I'm excited. So like I said, I have another day here tomorrow, and then I'm heading back to Finland. So you won't see these projects for a while, because we need to sort everything out, and I need to get some time to be able to come back and continue with them. But I hope you have enjoyed this series of the Chevy Nova up until now. Please leave a comment, please like and subscribe. Tell me what you think, and we'll get back on this very soon, or as soon as I can. Okay, thanks ever so much. Cheers.